Alright, before we start off, I just want to say happy 2025 to everybody. I can't believe that it's already 2025 personally, but you know, what are we going to do about it? It is. Now, this is going to be a bit of an unscripted video because, well, let's be honest, I'm too lazy to make a script. Now, with 2025 officially here, I've spent most of my time playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I know how that sounds. Horrible, I know. But trust me, I did not pay a single dime for this game. It was all for free with PlayStation Plus, and honestly, I am glad that it is, because if I paid for this game, I would feel horrible. Now, is the game just as bad as everybody says? Yes and no. Now, according to PlayStation Plus, I have 15 hours on the game, well, as of recording this, and I have to say, I've actually been having more fun with it than I'd like to admit for a game that is this hated on. Now, I will admit I have not finished the main game's campaign, but to be honest, really should I? I mean, the campaign seems really shitty. I've been playing most of the online, though, and I gotta say, I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's a really good, mindless, turn your brain off kind of game. You just run around, shoot shit. I mean, it really doesn't get that complicated. I mean, there are some flaws to the game, don't get me wrong, but with the 15 hours I have on the game, I have not really been, upset with the time I've spent on it. Now, here's what I have to say. If you compare this game to the Arkham games before it, then you will hate this game. Do not compare it, because if you do, it'll absolutely destroy any enjoyment you could have from this game. You have to have low expectations in order to play this game, which is upsetting to say, but it just simply is true. Now, even despite this game being live service, I can tell that there are still some rocksteady charm from the previous Arkham games. Now, you're probably wondering, how the hell can I see it when this game is nothing like the Arkham games before it? And, to be honest, I can only see it because this is one of the more polished live service games, at least when you compare it to games like Marvel's Avengers or live service games similar to that kind of caliber. You especially can see that rock-steady polish if you walk through, the Hall of Justice, and you go through all of the little nooks and crannies and little secrets and references to the other games. You can really see that there were people on the team who cared and wanted to make a good game, but unfortunately, we know how Warner Brothers overworked all of the workers over at Rocksteady and all of the drama behind the game. Now, as you can see from the gameplay, I have unlocked Deathstroke already, and what can I say? He is a lot of fun to play. He is insanely OP, at least if you ask me. Now, I haven't unlocked any of the other characters like Lawless or Mrs. Freeze or the Joker, and frankly, I don't really want to unlock them. I mean, I guess I will if I keep playing the game, but at the same time, it's not really gonna be worth it if you ask me. But who knows, they could be a lot of fun to play as, just their characters themselves don't intrigue me. Now, before I get into the things I don't like about the game, we're gonna talk about the things that are positive, because there's always positives even in the worst things. I've already gone over the rocksteady charm, but the next thing I want to talk about is the traversal, because it is actually a lot of fun to run around Metropolis. And each character's traversal is so drastically different, I actually can tell the difference between playing the characters. I know that sounds kind of silly to bring up, but in some games, you really can't tell. All characters act the same, and in this game, I can definitely say that they don't. I actually can feel the unique flair between each character, and swapping between them does actually make me feel like I'm doing something different. The next thing I want to praise about this game is its combat, because it's actually a lot of fun, and we'll get to more about the combat later when we get to the negatives, because I unfortunately do have to admit it can get repetitive, but it is actually a lot of fun, well, at least in small doses. Lastly, I want to praise the characters, and again, I have not finished the main game's campaign, but from the campaign cutscenes that I have seen, other than the major spoilers that everybody hates, the characters themselves all have their own distinct personalities and are all actually really fun to listen to, and their yabbering and their back and forth shit-talking to one another is actually a lot of fun. Now let's get into the things that aren't so good about the game, and I guess we'll start with the combat, because I mentioned it previously. Yes, the combat is fun, but it can get very repetitive at times, especially if you've been playing the game for several hours, as myself. You can realize that all of the missions you do about just the same thing over and over and over again. It's Voss from Far Cry 3 would be very upset. It is definitely the definition of insanity if you play it for too long. Every mission, it's run around, kill X amount of enemies, and then get back to the portal. I mean, you can literally see it in the gameplay right now. All I did was just kill a bunch of enemies and then go back to the portal. Then in some other missions, it'll be like kill amount of enemies and then collect some data that you get from the enemies' corpses and then go back to the portal or go back to Toy Man's van or whatever. But you're always killing people and then going back to wherever you were previously. It really can get on your nerves at times. Another flaw that is with the combat is just how much shit is on your screen at one time, because I didn't really think about it after a while, but once I was sharing my screen with my friend Trevion in a party chat, he said, "Why is there so much stuff on your screen? How can you even tell what's going on?" And frankly, ever since then, I haven't been able to unsee all the numbers. I'm sure you can see it right now through the gameplay, but it can get overwhelming at times with just how much is on your screen, and honestly, it kind of distracts from the gameplay, and it kind of makes it a little worse. Now, moving away from the combat, another flaw with the game is its price tag. They wanted a whopping $70 for this game, and that is just absurd. This game is just not worth the $70 price tag, and that's coming from someone who got the game for free. I can only imagine how the people who paid full price for this game felt when they played it. I mean, my heart and soul goes out to those guys, good lord. Especially if they bought the deluxe edition, that's even worse. Oh my god, I can't even talk. It's just insane to imagine that. I could never. Another thing that's wrong with this game, the boss fights. Oh lord, the boss fights. I think you already heard everybody complaining about it online, but you fight Brainiac and he literally is just a reskin of another fight of a member of the Justice League. He doesn't even have his own unique boss fight. And in the Deathstroke season, you don't even get to fight him. You just get to see a cutscene of Deathstroke killing him for you, which frankly was, kind of funny at the time, but now that I'm looking back on it, I'm more mad that I didn't actually get to fight the dude. Especially with all the hype and build-up they give for the fight. But that's only the Brainiac boss fight. The actual Justice League member boss fights are really lame, to say the least, as they all lack variety. And the fact that the Justice League can all just die to regular guns is stupid enough, if you ask me. But overall, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a very mixed game, if you ask me. Because it can be fun at times if you just turn your brain off and don't really think about what's happening and you just enjoy the game. But if you actually do sit down and think about what you're doing in the game and you think about the story or anything, then your whole experience will just be shattered. So it's kind of just bleh, if that makes sense. I can totally see some people having so much fun with this game, but I can also totally see why people hate it. It's definitely a mixed bag. Now, before I wrap this up, in case you're wondering who my favorite characters were, because I did mention that the characters were unique earlier, my favorite characters were King Shark, Captain Boomerang, and Deathstroke, because, like I said, Deathstroke was insanely OP, if you ask me, but I played most of the game's campaign as King Shark, because he was the most fun to play as. At least until I unlocked Deathstroke, but who would have saw that coming? Deathstroke being fun? No way. But other than that, that is a PlayStation Plus player's perspective on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in the year 2025. It is definitely a mixed bag, but for a free game, I definitely got my money's worth. It gave me something to do for 15 hours, and not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun just turning off the game's audio and listening to my own music in the background while I mindlessly killed enemies. It can be a lot of fun if you turn your brain off, but again, if you really think about it, it's not that great a game. And it's especially better than Marvel's Avengers, which, if you ask me, was the definition of monotony. So while this game may not be perfect, it does have its perks, and it definitely isn't the worst game ever made, like some people online may be saying. But overall, that's my take on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.